So now we have a hopefully same but different perspective. Our next presenter is Roxanne Speakerman with the Association of Plastic Recyclers. Roxanne serves as the board chair of the Association of Plastic Recyclers, a 50-year-old coalition of over 300 reclaimers, processors, and product brands that seek to maximize utilization of recycled plastics. Ms. Speakerman started her career in 2005 at plastic film recycler Roplast Industries, rising through various roles including general manager and executive vice president. Ms. Speakerman currently serves as vice president of public affairs for PreZero US. In her roles with APR and PreZero, Roxanne is an industry stakeholder interacting with various state agencies, advising them on plastic packaging and recycling policy from manufacturing perspective. Welcome, Roxanne.
Hi, everyone. I'm super excited to be here. I was really happy to be invited. Everyone here so far has been from California. I myself am a Northern Californian, but I'm going to take a step back from that. We're going to talk a little bit from the Hill, where APR is headquartered. We are the National Association of Plastics Recycling. We're the only association that focuses specifically on the plastic recyclers. Those are our main members. We have affiliate members, but if you're a full voting member at APR, you have to actually be a recycler. So what I'm going to be speaking about today is the reality of it, the down and dirty of recycling, what it really looks like. We're thrilled about a lot of this legislation, and I'm just going to kind of present to you some of the challenges that are also still out there. One brief thing to mention, we also own Resource Recycling, which is one of the largest media and magazines for recycling in the industry. So if you have any questions about that, or if you haven't checked out that publication, please do. Let's see, go to the next slide here. Oh, there it is. Perfect. All right. Again, this is the APR overview. Simply put, what we want to do, keep everything in a circular system. Recycling is, in the last few presentations, we learned a lot about SB 54 and SB 343. A lot of what we do is go out there to the grounds, to the stations, to the MRFs, looking at some of this material, looking at some of the challenges. So, let's see, cleaning. This is just giving you an idea of some of our APR members, our affiliate members. We do really rely on a lot of our affiliate members for input, especially now with the pros coming out and different implementation of APR across the country. Right here just kind of gives you an idea of our core value of what we're really trying to do, increase supply. This is very important because a lot of us recyclers will say, I heard the 5% rate. I always hear that about what's being recycled. And I don't disagree with that. But when you look at, say, PET bottles and HDP bottles, right? If you look at just those that are actually being recycled, aren't easy to recycle, that rate goes up to 28%. And with our members right now surveyed, that rate can go up to 40% with existing capacity. So if we can get the material back and channel it back, which again goes back to behavior, that's when we can really get that up. Expand demand, enhance quality. That's all very important, and it's all a very circular system, right? If we can get the demand, we can increase the quality because we have a constant feedback in the stream. And then, of course, communicate value. That's going to be very important. We'll talk about how post-consumer resin, how important it is to create that value. Next slide. Oh, me. On the next slide. All right. So this just gives you a little bit of information on what we really do, the value that our members get out of it. We do bale specifications. We also are able to do our APR design recognition. A lot of the brands and producers, are going to be involved with things like SB 54, are using our recognition process. And then we're also working on the other side of it, which is APR demand champions, really acknowledging those that are using more recycled content and are making sure their products get recycled. Just kind of give you an idea, we are involved state, federal, and global, okay? So we've really taken off in the last year or so working on a global basis. We realize the infrastructure here in the US is certainly behind in many ways. So we are learning from a global perspective, and especially what they're doing in Europe right now. So APR, EPR support, big supporters. We know that it's not going to get done. We're not going to get that material unless something comes along that requires that it actually be put through, and that means putting that pressure on the producers. So when it comes to California, we are definitely in support We know that our supply is going to go up because of this. We also recognize there are going to be some challenges. Of course, 343 defines recycling in 454, and we are referenced in both. Our design guideline is referenced in 343, and then in SB 54, there's an incentive to use recycled content. And again, our APR, post-consumer resin certification, is also in there. So we're working hand in hand with state agencies to make sure this really works in California. All right. These are the main challenges. This is the dirty stuff. This is what stuff people don't want to see. It works in theory, sometimes in legislation, but when you come and see it on a recycling basis, a high production, low cost of virgin resins. I don't know how many of you guys follow the virgin resin market right now, but the virgin suppliers, the big producers, they've really dropped pricing, and that makes it really tough for post-consumer resin producers to try and sell that product against virgin. That's huge. So we really need the support of producers. Inconsistent demand. We need long-term contracts. We need producers to really commit to these long-term contracts and be held accountable. Verification, this is very important. There's a lot of bad actors out there, right? And plastic is plastics, right? All polymers kind of look the same. So it's very easy to pretend like you're using it. High production of virgin plastics. Again, it's very hard to compete with these big guys. You know, we're in the recycling market, when we're selling this recycled material, it's pretty hard when virgin is actually less and easier to process. And then of course, you know, what can we do about it? Well, policy. Again, that's why we're such fans of EPR. We know that that is actually what's going to drive it. Because otherwise, producers tend to say, hey, we're going to commit to 25%, 40% post-consumer packaging. Guess what? Next month, virgin material goes down. They switch that a little bit. So we really need to have that. And so we really need to decouple the value of recycled content from price. That is very important. Sometimes you're going to have to pay more, and that's okay. That's not a bad thing. Again, inconsistent demand for recycled content. This is very important, and we see it across the board. How many recyclers have struggled selling this recycled material? I think in California and Oregon, we're going to see some major wins because of extended producer. But again, from a national perspective, brands like to change a lot due to price. So that's going to be very important. Again, what can we do? Mandatory recycled content minimums. This has been a huge help for our market. I know people have mentioned the bag bill and things like that. Yeah, and the one good thing that did come out of it is a market for post-consumer. That was very important. A lot of people started investing in recycling facilities in California or into our California market. So that was a one good positive thing that came out of that, and hopefully we'll learn from that and put recycled content minimums in other products. Okay, verification and certification, again, goes back to all the bad actors out there, right? There's a lot of them. Recycled content, it isn't always as pretty, it costs more, but you gotta really, in some cases cost more, but you really gotta verify that you're using it. We do have an independent third-party certification program for the resins. We're working on the physical product. Again, we're a very scientific-based organization, so unless we can actually prove it, we don't really wanna do this through mass balance. We wanna actually prove through supply chain and chain of custody that the material is certified. We probably won't put our mark on it. So that's really, and then of course, again, the APR designed for recycling, the physical process of recycling plastic is just a component in the process, right? The other parts of it are just equally important. That's the collecting of the material. That's the making sure from the very start that you've designed the material to be recycled, to make sure that you're following it through to actually see that it is being recycled. So we are a component of it that requires that support. And I think that's really where the glue of EPR comes in. It kind of makes sure that all those other components are working. It's very easy to say this product's recyclable, a lot harder to make sure that it actually gets recycled, right? So we're trying to close that loop. Again, these are our policy priorities. When we get involved in policy, again, we're doing it from more of a scientific basis. 343 FTC, they're going to define what's recyclable by access rate. We're going to define what's recyclable for our recyclers. In other words, does it float? Does it sink in an actual float sink test? Those sorts of physical testing. That's pretty much what I had for you guys. Again, I'm kind of covering a comprehensive amount of different types of polymers for recyclability, but I suppose I can open it up to questions at this point, if anyone has any. Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much. Yes? Oh,
What's the main product that's being produced? Is it solids or liquid
you
when
mean?
at the end of the recycling process?
Oh, okay, so most of them would be a resin pellet. Again, there's some granules in there, but no, it wouldn't, not really liquids. And again, I want to also state that our full members are mechanical recyclers. Just want to put that out there. We do have some affiliate members, but the proven technology currently is mechanical.
So just follow on to that. I understand that oils can be produced. Is your organization enhancing or promoting that?
We do have a research committee that is dedicated to the chemical recycling, which would involve things like pyrolysis. But quite frankly, until we can understand, there needs to be a market and there needs to be proof that that the capacity is actually there, and there's demand for it. And so if we can get those types of chemical recyclers to that point, we would probably consider them for full membership. But right now, we are really focused on supporting the mechanical recyclers. And we don't want to rob the mechanical recyclers from good feedstock. That's important.
Correct. You're right. Hi, Ruben Hernandez with Zero Waste Marine. Where are your end markets mostly located?
Well, the polymers they're a vast type of material. Right now, we see a lot in the bottles. Again, I spoke about that. You look at plastics, you can say 5% get recycled, but when you really dive into it and you look at PET bottles, HDPE, now you're looking at rates of 28%, which could be 40% tomorrow if we had more supply. So I would say the rigids right now, absolutely. Flexibles, they pose the biggest challenge. We all know that. Are they recyclable? 100%. What the problem is channeling it there. And again, that goes back to behavior issue. Yeah.
David, are there any questions from online?
Yes, we have one. This is from Kevin Miller. Is there any move to reduce PVC plastics packaging?
I really can't speak to that, being the board chair and not an APR staff member. But I can say that we're always evaluating materials that could in any way conflict with recycling rates. So I would probably open that up to an APR staff member, which would be like Steve Alexander, our executive director. When it comes to those kind of particulars, I would probably direct it there, which we are always the staff is always readily available to answer that. Yeah.
Anything else?
Thank you, guys.